Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling, and this is the Raging Verbalist number 195. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here a bunch of times, glad that you're back. Raging Verbalist is where I talk about things that I just get incensed and enraged, and therefore I talk about it. Don't veer off too much into politics. We talk about a lot of other things. You can always check us out on YouTube, also the Facebook group, Position to Win Book. And with me, as always, standing in for you, asking the tough questions, making sure that I stay on task and on target is the ever lovely Sandra. Welcome, Sandra.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing well. We're getting this done. I'm excited and we're ready. So what are we talking about this week?
All right, so we're talking about Apple's big event. So what's your overall impression of the event and what they talked about?
Well, I'm a little disappointed because they invited influencers from all over, first time ever influencers, and it filled out, and they had all these people sitting around taking selfies and all of that other stuff. They didn't invite me. I don't know what happened. Maybe it got stuck in a spam filter or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm still working on that, some of those other ones. But anyway, so my initial impression of it is that this is their annual, we got to introduce a new phone every year event, and there's a bunch of things in that. And they also did the watch thing. Little disappointed that they didn't have, some other things. So my overall impression is, phones and watches, I like both. So, got my attention, and of course this was a highly anticipated iPhone 15. For those who are keeping track, this isn't the 15th phone that they've introduced. This is like the 23rd phone that they've introduced. Don't even get me started on that whole numbering thing. But yes, so overall I thought interesting. There's a lot of commentary that they brought to the table. Guys, sell me a phone, sell me a watch. There you go.
And what surprised you the most about the event?
Well, I think the thing that surprised me the most is that they spent a bunch of time talking about the watch, and the watch is one of those kind of controversial things, at least in my mind. You talk about getting enraged. So I'm really, I would say not a crazy early adopter, but I'll see technology and go, ooh, I gotta have me some of that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I bought the original watch, and by the way, it sits in a desk drawer in my office because, well, the damn thing really didn't do what it was supposed to do. Kept taking it back to the Apple store and didn't do that. But they spent a bunch of time talking about the new watch. By the way, they have the cheap watch, and then they have the kind of little more updated, but then they have the real update, which is a new chip finally, which has a bunch of capabilities. And then they have the Ultra, I don't know if they call it 2 or whatever. I mean, again, once these guys get down the road, who knows what they're going to call it. And the Ultra looks really neat. I mean, it looks, badass, and it's $800 or more. And it's supposed to do all kinds of things for you. Now, the thing that surprised me is that they've added in the higher end models, not just the Ultra, but the next one down. And that is that you can actually actuate the phone. One of the pains in the ass of the phone, of the watch is that, you got to do this all the time. So everybody's wondering, are you getting ready for all right, they're going to hit me in the face, put up a guard or something. And what happens is that, you got people who are always, playing with it. So they've added this gesture thing that you can just do this. And if you do that, now I thought it'd be cool if they did a little snap in the fingers, get a little jazz, and all of a sudden you're balancing your checkbook by you and that. No, it doesn't quite do that. But if you do this, it actually will turn on, and then they got a little blue dot that tells you, hey, yeah, gesture's going to work on this one. Give it a shot. So I think it's their first kind of physical bio connection thing that they're working towards. So that was a surprise. They had attempted some of that earlier, and it didn't work, and now they're back at it again. So who knows? Maybe this time they get it and it actually works, and you're going to see people walking around going boom, 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 and we don't even know what the heck they're doing. They could be moving their stock portfolio, or and from your neck of the woods, selling cattle futures, or buying something off of Amazon, or adding to the TikTok morass. Who knows? But that was kind of a surprise. I thought that was kind of clever and cool. And somebody's got to figure out how to make it easier to use this stuff, which is really the barrier for all this.
And what was most likely to happen that did happen?
Well, probably the most unimpressive announcement was an announcement that was going to happen eventually, is that Apple has gone from what they call the Lightning cable, which was introduced in 2012, because they went from this big, ugly 30-pin connector. I mean, I know you're at the edge of your seat, 30-pin connector. Ooh, John, tell me more. Wow. Well, I can tell you that the bitch of these connectors, that piss you off with these connectors, is that I still have stuff that, you got to keep this stuff around, even though, people say don't. So they went to a new connector, which is actually not a new connector, but they went to what is called a USB-C. That would be USB-C. And it's on most Android phones right now. And Apple finally succumbed to it. Now, people will say, why did they do this? What made them do this? Why didn't they do it sooner? Well, and I'm not an Apple shareholder. So if you're an Apple shareholder, you probably already know the reason, which is money, because they were making a lot of money off of license fees for the Lightning connector. Now, the downside was the Lightning connector used old technology, meaning it was a slow thing. Remember, we talked a little bit about that whole canard. Isn't that such a nice word? It's not to say bullshit that people call future proofing. Well, the Lightning connector was old and slow, and it was time to move on. So they went to USB-C, and and everybody's like, yay, USB-C. However, we'll find out about how exciting that is or isn't. And what it isn't is the fact that they have on the iPhone 15, because they have 4 models, by the way. They have a smaller screen and a big screen. And then they have an iPhone 15 Pro and a small screen and a big screen. And, well, on the small ones, that just the i15, they did put a USB-C, but they essentially put it at 480 megabits per second. For those of you who don't understand what all this stuff means, trust me, there are so many standards and so many different connectors. It is just crazy. But that's slow. And on the Big Daddy, the Mac Daddy, you get the USB-C, but you get the faster speed. So it's 10 gigabits. By the way, whenever I hear people say gigabytes, no, it's gigabits. There's 8 bits in a byte. I know. Who knows any of this stuff anymore? We just slap the phone and it works. And that's all we got to do. So that's what they ended up doing. So if you're going to go buy one, we're going to have my recommendation a little bit. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not a big believer in future proofing, but getting something that has slow I/O, no, not a good idea. But they did it, and there you go.
And what precipitated or forced that change on Apple?
Well, the European Union, a bunch of bureaucrats who have never designed, built, or put anything together. There was a guy in Belgium, and there's a great video of him, and he's sitting there very smug and saying, this connector, this USB-C, is everywhere, and it's going to make it easier. We're going to save billions of things to go in the landfill, and you get one connector and all that other stuff. Well, again, that's bullshit. Bureaucrats rarely get it right. Also, USB-C is today. None of us can anticipate the future. If you really are prescient, if you actually know what's going to happen, tell no one. Contact us through our Facebook group. Whisper it to myself or Sandra. We won't tell anybody. And when we make a lot of money, we'll give you honorable mention, okay? Because nobody knows what the damn thing is going to be. So they forced Apple to do it, and they claim it's going to have all these benefits. And my question is that since Apple has already shipped like over 1,200 million devices with Lightning connectors, what, do you want everybody to throw those into a landfill? That seems like a big landfill. Second thing is that a lot of those devices are still usable, so it seems like we're not going to get rid of those. And the third thing is that in some ways you could say that was the standard. Now, the reason why no Android phone ever went for that is really simple. First off, it wasn't in the reference design. If you don't know what that is, okay, I got it. And the other thing is that, of course, USB-C was the design of choice, which would screw up people from screwing up their phone because they plug it in wrong. So there you go. So that's what precipitated it. And we're going to see if, in fact, and of course, nobody will actually figure this out 10 years from now. Nobody will be talking about it. They'll be going, John, it's all over. Yeah, except that this is why, and this is where we'll veer off into politics. Bureaucrats do not know anything about technology at all. And maybe we'll do a Raging Verbalist about that whole thing. But all I can tell you is that's what drove them to it. Again, not a shareholder. Don't have a dog in this fight, but I'm going to tell you that, that this is not going to be the perfect world that this guy anticipates it's going to be. False economy of scale. Now, if you in fact have a business, if you in fact have a career, if you have it sitting there going, geez, John, how do I make sure I don't fall into these kind of silly, false premise logic, then I have a book for you. In fact, I have two books for you, but the first one is most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize the position to win. This book available physically. This would be considered atoms for those of you who want to get into physics. Physical book is available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, wherever books are sold. You can go in and say, give me this book. Give me Mendoza's book. I need it now. Or you can go to positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com, and say, John, give me an inscription, sign it, tell me what you want to do, and we'll ship it to you. We'll send it to you, and you'll be, of course, enlightened and improved. Also, it's available in every single electronic form. So you can get it in Kindle, you can get it in Nook, and you can get it in Apple iBooks. On the other side, if you're sitting there and you are a remote worker, you're a digital nomad, you want to figure out how to do this better because most people suck at it. I mean, I understand what it's like to travel and be on the road and use technology. I'm doing that right now. So go out and you can pick up. There we go. Remote Work for a Better World. And we wrote it because of the coming pandemic. Still has a lot of really good stuff. Only available exclusively on Amazon Kindle. Go check it out and you will be enlightened and better. And with that, Sandra, what is the next question that you have?
Are you surprised that they only introduced iPhones and Apple Watches at this event?
I was frankly disappointed. There's a lot of other products that they have and all of that, but I guess because the phone makes the big money and the watch is something that they're trying to keep pushing, that they spent a bunch of time. I was interested to see if we're going to get new Macs, new iPads, new other stuff. Well, of course, now the speculation will begin. So I was disappointed. I went, okay, 4 phones, couple of watches, and you spend an hour and a half to tell me about that? Okay. Now, maybe it's because my expectations were so high from years ago, watching, sitting there hanging on every single thing that Steve Jobs would talk about. Again, talking about other things that are not technology because you feel good about it or you want to virtual signal the world. Go for it, maybe. But you know what? Come on, get real, get serious, introduce more stuff because that's what we're interested in doing. So yeah, I was disappointed that they didn't do more of that, and we'll have to see. And frankly, we'll see what happens with the iPhone 15.
And what were some of the big breakthroughs that came out of the watch side of it?
Well, the watch continues to evolve. So I'm really interested to see how Apple has kind of progressed this because the first watch was way overhyped. I mean, when I bought this thing and I got excited and I spent a lot of dough, like $500-600 for it. And, it didn't do all those things. I mean, it downloaded a bunch of apps and then it just burped and died, didn't do crap. But what I'm fascinated by is that it now has so many things, like as an example, because it has higher speed processing with the new chip, that it actually does like transcription right on the device itself. the fact that it doesn't have to be always paired with the phone and there's things that you can do with it, that it has an SOS feature that keeps getting better. It has all of these links that are going on. We're seeing that connection that takes place with the cell towers and with Wi-Fi and all those. So I think that the thing that I looked at in that, which they're going to probably get more dough out of me. I mean, I might be that fool again to buy it, but it looks like they've actually added a bunch of interesting features and things that you can do. And I in particular like the fact that if the phone is ringing and I'm doing something, it would be nice to just be able to go snap, snap, and it does it and it connects. Also, of course, I'm always interested in the transcription. For any of you out there who really believe that AI and transcription is all done, I'm going to tell you the bad news. Again, what we try to do on this channel is not give you patent bullshit and tell you stuff that maybe makes us feel good or you feel good. But I'm going to tell you right now, the transcription stuff is miles ahead of where it used to be, but the mistakes are always there. And if you're going to send stuff out, especially to customers, if you're going to put together contracts, you're going to put together stuff, fine tooth comb stuff, because you'll run into all kinds of goofball stuff. So yeah, it looks like the watch, they've taken a leap forward. And like I said, the Ultra, it looks like a real badass, and go out and spend $800 for a watch that you got to keep plugging in all the time. That's there you go.
All right, and let's talk about iPhones. So it appears that Apple has established a pattern of how they're going to introduce phones on an annual basis. Is the iPhone 15 that big of a breakthrough?
Evolutionary step. The Pro version, the expensive one, now we're over $1,000. And interestingly, you can go out and buy an Apple Mac laptop for what a lot of the phones are now. The younger people are, they're not opting for a laptop. They're not opting for these things. In fact, they're going to use their phone. They're going to use their device. So maybe that's the direction we're going to see this continue to go in. I think it was an evolutionary step. The big thing was that they finally went to USB-C. And if you get the Pro one, the cameras keep getting better. That I absolutely believe. I see it every time I upgrade my own iPhone, and I own iPhones, I own Androids. Just so you know, I got a nightmare on Elm Street on all this stuff. All of them are annoying, by the way. So if you're ever sitting out there going, "Ooh, well, my Android does this and your iPhone does that," yeah, they all are annoying, and they're annoying because they don't do some of the things that they should do. And it's okay, because guess what? That's the way technology works. So that's just you got to deal with it. But basically, the new fact that you have even better cameras, better lenses, and on the most expensive ones, the Pro Max, they got this new periscope zoom, which is just going to be really even cooler. And all of that makes a lot of sense, and looks like they keep improving all of those things. So I think you're going to keep seeing that leaping forward and leaping forward and leaping forward. And that might just be enough, but it was not a breakthrough revolution. And that means also every cable that I have that's a lightning cable, I got to think, okay, all right, now I got to use more USB-C cables, and away we go.
And so will you be buying an iPhone 15? And if so, which one and why?
Well, so this is my recommendation. Anybody's going to go out and buy one. So if you have an older phone, and this is, so the case to be made for Apple iPhones, assuming that you may want to make that case, is that the phones last a long time, and they keep updating them. I have, and this is to just say it out loud, I have an Android tablet from Lenovo that I really like, which is now dead, not wounded, not sick, not wheezing, it's dead because I can't update it, and therefore it doesn't run any code anymore. Now, of course, there are people who tell me that I could hack it and put Linux on it and everything. I am going to get to the point of about buying an iPhone 15. Well, what happens is that it's dead. So iPhones have a longer lifespan than other devices. And therefore, I'm probably what's called a 2-gapper or a 3-gapper. That means generations that you push back and you don't upgrade each generation. And right now I'm getting to that edge where I'm at a 3-gap. So probably going to go look at it. Now, here's my recommendation. Do not buy the lesser versions of it, just the iPhone 15s, because of the slowness of the connection. If you're going to shoot fantastic video and fantastic photographs, you're going to want to plug it into a computer. You really do want to be able to take advantage of that higher speed. And when you have something that's like over 20 times faster, yeah, go and do that and spend the extra money. So the one that I'll probably end up buying is the iPhone Max. I also have another recommendation, which is buy a lot more storage space than you think you're going to need. I have met many people who say, John, I don't need all that extra storage. Well, if you start shooting in 4K, if you start doing a bunch of things, if you're like me and you have a bunch of movies that you want to watch on a plane, yes, I can watch it on the laptop, I can watch it on the iPad, but I'm sitting there and I'm jammed in there between a sumo wrestler and Attila the Hun or Jabba the Hutt, and I'm stuck in the middle seat. It's nice to be able to just pull out the phone and watch something. So I always buy as much as I can possibly afford as far as storage space. So that's my recommendation, and we'll see. I'll be probably, I'll tell everybody when I upgrade, and I'm sure that trumpets will blare and there will be people in Cupertino blessing themselves and all of that.
And how should someone in sales, marketing, and business view the smartphone, considering that most people view it as an entertainment device? What should it really be?
If you're in any kind of business side of things, marketing, sales, PR, whatever it is, if you're running a business of any kind or you work and you make money, you need to see a smartphone as the device, and I don't care which camp you want to live in. We're talking about iPhones. You have to look at it as, this makes me more money. And it makes me more money because I need to use the apps to be able to do things that I wouldn't normally be able to do. I am very surprised, and this is an age thing, but it's also an awareness thing. Now, I take photos all the time. All the time. And of course, I get nudged gently, sometimes not so gently. Of course, she's far enough away that she can't get the cattle prod on me. But I get, Sandra saying, hey, take more pictures. You need more pictures. You got to have more pictures. But I take pictures of a variety of things. I learn a bunch of stuff. Use this phone as a money device. Wake up every day and say, what are the 3 things? And if you're interested in me doing a Raging Verbalist about it, what are the 3 things I can do today with the phone to improve my effectiveness and therefore make more money? That's what you need to see it as. Don't sit there and say, well, yeah, but I get to play video games. I get to watch, of course you can do all the things, but you want to do it to make money because that's what it really is all about. Because if you do that, then it's really worth it. And then what you'll do is you'll buy a more expensive phone. Have a business partner. He loves Android. We switched carriers and went to T-Mobile. I did a rant about those guys. Yeah, by the way, they still haven't sent me my money. T-Mobile's listening to this thing. And he said, John, it doesn't matter. Just get me an Android phone. I'm okay. Get him an Android phone. Month into it, he goes, yeah, I ditched that one because I got a better one. Because it turns out your device really does matter. So you should make your decision carefully, wisely, and make sure that it does what you need it to do. And know that no matter what you pay for it, in just a few short years, it will be behind the times, because there is an inexorable march forward in technology that is not going to stop, or doesn't appear it's going to stop anytime soon. And with that, what I hope is that you have an inexorable march to success and are more successful, because I am John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speaks, and for myself and the ever lovely Sandra, this has been Raging Verbalist number 195. Go and have a great week. Go do really well, and we'll see you on the next Raging Verbalist.